dream big, right? I think our last episode we talked about maniacal goals or ridiculous goals, right? But it's one thing to have an outlandish goal. But the next thing is, what are you going to do differently to achieve that goal?
Welcome to The Growth Mindset, the podcast for ambitious real estate and mortgage professionals. Hosted by Adam Crosley and Riddle, this show dives into entrepreneurial strategies, sales techniques, and mindset hacks designed to fuel your career growth. Get ready to learn from top producers, gain actionable insights, and start your journey towards success. Here's your hosts, Adam and Rick.
Buongiorno, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Growth Mindset Podcast. My name is Riddle with my co-host,
Adam Crosley. How are we doing this week, Rick?
I'm doing fantastic.
Love it, brother. Love it. Nice.
So the year is coming to a close, or depending on when this gets released, we have started the new year, which is probably when it will probably get released in a couple of weeks. We're finishing up December now, but it'll probably be live in January. So Happy New Year's.
Well, yeah, just before we turn the camera on, Rick and I were, at the end of this year, at the beginning of the year, and anytime in that December, January, whatever it might be, it's always a great time to kind of recalibrate, make sure that what you're, one of my favorite quotes is Tony Robbins. And, one thing that Tony says is frequently we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we way underestimate what we can do in a decade. And one of my favorite things to do at the very end of the year or very beginning of the year is kind of recalibrate my goals, make sure that I'm still chasing after our long-term goals, but we're still doing the day-to-day activity that we need to so that we can hit this next year's set of goals.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a couple of things when I think of goals. A goal without a plan, right? Isn't a goal without a plan is just a wish?
It's just a wish, just a dream.
And it's okay to dream. Like, I think there's a 3-set thing when you set a goal. I think the first thing is dream big, right? I think our last episode we talked about maniacal goals or ridiculous goals, right? But it's one thing to have an outlandish goal. But the next thing is, what are you going to do differently to achieve that goal? And then you put together a business plan from your goal. Right? And then lastly, how are you going to execute on that business plan? Can you break it down into chunks every day to get to the end goal? Whatever time frame that is, right? Goals are usually like that long-term vision. The plan is how you're going to get there. And then the real action or action steps, or as we like to say in the use the ladder, the executables, or what am I going to do differently today to get that? Knowing I have this pie in the sky goal, I know what I got to do differently to get there. Now, what am I going to do every day to do that, right? And but today, why don't we just at least start? Just talk about goals.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. When you look at your goals for 2026. Do you base it at all on your 2025 results?
I do. So the last 2 years, my goals have been a 50% increase year over year. Now, during COVID, we were crushing it, right? And then we had a step back, when rates doubled, tripled, and, so we had a 50% year over year increase. Going into 26 from my 25, I'm only setting a 20% goal increase in my production because I don't want to just get bigger. I want to get better and more efficient this year. I really want to work on increasing our conversions and instead of just going out and because there's a couple of ways when you're trying to get business, right? You can always go get more leads or you can convert at a higher percentage. And in our business last year, we generated over 1,000 warm referred leads, which is awesome. However, I started thinking about if we could increase our conversion rate, 2% with 1,000 loans, that's 20 extra deals. just by getting a little bit better, by following better systems, by following better processes.
Well, I think it's interesting that you say that. Obviously, most of the people on this that listen on this podcast are loan officers, but it applies to any salesperson.
That's right.
Salespeople know their results.
Yep.
They probably know their W-2. At least I hope they do, because they're going to pay taxes in 4 months on those numbers, right? So they know their W-2 income. They probably know their annual production. So very easily, hey, I made 100 grand this year. I closed 10 million. I made 100 basis points, right? Pretty easy math, right? So easy a caveman can do it, right? But what I want to do, I want to go to 15 million, right? How am I going to do that? Well, that's a 50% increase. And most people have a goal in mind monetarily, which I think is the right way to do it. What are you going to do? Because at the end of the day, we've both been in goal setting with Carl White, and he said, what are you going to do with that difference? How's that? Forget about the dollar. What's that going to do to change your life? What are you going to do? Are you going to, and then go commit to those things to your significant other, right? Almost as an accountability partner. But what I think that's interesting that you do, which I think a lot of people don't do, is they look at the top of the funnel, right? And I think people know their numbers to the amount of money they made and the amount of money they closed, dollars they closed, or units they closed. What they don't do is track how many leads did I get, and what was my conversion from lead to application and application to closing? Because you're right. You may not need more leads. You may just need, because more leads does require a lot of work.
Yep.
It requires adding more referral partners, right? It adds handling more leads, right? And if you don't have your systems down packed and your infrastructure down packed, you might not be able to do that. But what you can do is maybe focus on your scripts, your leaks in your game, right? And how do you take the leads that you already got and convert them? Or maybe follow-up systems, right? Building follow-up systems to convert more leads. Because I think that, lead acquisition is really expensive, right? Like whether you're a loan officer building referral and you're taking your realtors out to lunch, you're taking them out to dinner, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're hosting events, and you're maybe sponsoring Zillow or Facebook or a mortgage marketing services agreement, you're spending money and time in lead acquisition. And then we get 1,000 leads, right? And we convert, 20% of them. Like you said, if I can convert 2% more on 1,000 leads, that's 20 extra deals.
Yeah.
That's 2 deals extra a month.
Well, and if the average loan officer, let's say, makes, $3,000 a deal, it's an extra $60,000.
Yeah.
Just by getting better, right? So, I think you really need to track down, and I think the average, kind of get loan officer specific, I think the average loan officer really needs, in order for them to calculate their income and what they need to do on the day-to-day, they need to know, where are they going after? What income do they want to make? What is their average basis point per deal? And how much is their average loan amount? Because you can kind of use all of that to reverse engineer what volume you need. And then if you know what your average loan amount is, then you can calculate how many deals you have to do a year, and then how many deals you have to do a month. And if you track your leads, you can see what your conversion rate was, actual figure last year. And then so let's say it's, whatever it is, but you can actually reverse engineer how many leads you need to generate every single month so that you hit your income goal.
Well, that's a perfect example. So I think listeners calling on this call, right? Know how you need to know your numbers.
Absolutely.
And I think what happens, a lot of loan officers, a lot of people in general, they set goals, right? And when they set the goals about an hour before, they don't really think about it.
Correct.
On New Year's Eve, right? I'm going to do this without really any plan. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Well, how? Right?
Why is that important to you?
Right. Well, so I think the first step is when you set a goal, is you've got to really take the time and almost write it out.
Yeah.
And not to say, this number to that number, or this is what I'm going to close, but then really reverse engineer it. And I think that as a loan officer, you probably have a lot of data in your database, right? Like that you probably don't even really look at. So today at Crown, right, and a lot of people are on Encompass, but you could go look and see obviously the number of closings you've had.
Uh-huh.
You can see the number of loans you sent to processing. So from there, processing to closings, you have a closing to loan and see if there's a leak, right? Maybe if you put in 100 loans and you only close 50, there's 50 loans that are out there. Now, you could have a rolling pipeline. There could be 10 loans in your pipeline. Now there's 40 loans out there. What happened to those 40 loans? And it's easy to one off and then externalize. Well, that deal at home inspection fell through. Oh, that person they left me because of rate. Oh, that person but really concentrate to look at yourself and see if there's a leak in your game. Because convert a couple to and you made more money. And then after you look at loans sent to processing, move up the ladder or move up the funnel to credit pulls. Right? Those are people that are probably, hopefully, pre-approved and looking, or they got to where you were able to get some significant information, right? And then see from there, right? So if you're like, all right, I closed 50 loans last year. I had 100 loans in that were sent to processing that I disclosed. I had, 400, right, that were pre-approved and lookings, right? So now you're like, all right, what could I have done differently? Am I following up on those people, right? And then top of funnel is your leads, and if you hopefully have a good way of tracking that, and a lot of people don't. So I would say that's one thing that they could work on their goals is if you got to really track the top of funnel, right? Because that way, and I think that we've gotten better at that this year due to your leadership and some of the things that you're doing in our coaching, but. I'm on groups all the time, and they're like, "Well, what's your lead to conversion?" I'm like, as a company, I have no idea because some loan officer is getting a lead today, putting on a pen and paper, and never, if they never get an Encompass, I don't know if whatever happened to that lead. But if you as a loan,
it's hard to do it too from a corporate perspective because, like, I don't plug all of my leads into Encompass. I only plug them into Encompass like when I'm doing a full app, right? So like. There's already a percentage of people that I'm not putting in there.
So I guess my thought is, and it's not about the company, right? It's more about you as a loan officer have to track it.
Yeah.
And really, because if you track it, you'll start to learn leaks in your game if you look at it from the outside looking in. And I'll give you a perfect example. Adam Coach is one of our top producers. We've actually had him on the podcast before, Jeff Chang, right? And Jeff is a phenomenal loan officer closing. Will hit 48 million. His goal was 50. So he's coming just shy of his goal, but had a phenomenal year. He increased it from 30 million last year. So what an unbelievable job that he did. But one of the leaks in his game that I still think is so interesting, and this is where the power of you are, Adam, and as a coaching is you guys broke down his lead to filling out the application online. So what Jeff would do, and I bet you a lot of our listeners do this. I did it, so I'm not saying shame on you without saying shame on me. Is we have a 15-minute meaningful conversation with a customer, build a little rapport, send out a link, and then when the link comes back, I'm going to call you, and we'll go over it and get you started, get you pre-approved. And what happened with Jeff was the links weren't coming back. They were, I mean, they were coming, but not. There was definitely a fallout between.
It was over 30% of his
30% fallout. So he would send out here. What's that?
Between that,
yeah, and his simple tweak in that dialogue was, I'm going to send you this link, fill it out over the next 24, 48 hours. Let's set up a call now, whether you finish it or not, so we go over and review it. If you have any, and he would automatically set an appointment, and instantly. The amount of reconnections 48 hours went up, right? So people that had a problem, because what will happen is people will have a problem filling out your online link, you'll never know about it, and they'll go to somebody that will meet them face-to-face. Or they'll run into somebody that has a simpler link, or whatever, or they just give up, or somebody, right, and they lose that.
Or the kids got busy, or, whatever it might be, whether it was, a lot of times customers just don't do it.
Yeah, right.
But regardless, it tied it down, and it dramatically increased this conversion over 20%.
Yeah. And that's, so he increased his leads this year, but he increased his conversion as well.
Dramatically.
So he would not have been able to go from 30 million to, we'll call it 50. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So 2 weeks left, and as we're recording, he may hit his 50 million, but he increased his leads to increase his business, but he really increased his conversion percentage.
And I think that's a great takeaway for any loan officer that's listening to this podcast is, if you're just saying, hey, Mr. Customer, go on the app, and then once you're done, we'll circle back, you're really missing out by not setting an appointment on that introductory call, because your conversion will increase. I get kind of down and dirty with a lot of people, coaching them. And one of the things granularly that a lot of people today just do that because that's kind of what we're all trained to do as an industry. But by having that tie down appointment, 24 to 72 hours later, that is going to dramatically increase your conversion rate and your pull through.
Yeah. And that's just a tip. So I guess my thought is, when we talk about your goals for 2026,
yep,
I'm going to challenge everyone on this call, listening to this podcast. Don't just look at the results.
Yeah.
Don't look at I want to make $500,000. To do that, I'm going to close, $50 million, whatever your basis points are, right? Whatever your comp is. But take that special time and effort of reverse engineer how many leads you need to get to, right? And if you don't know your conversion from lead to being on paper, and being on paper to being an application, to closing, right? Like those 4 phases, start tracking that. And that would be a goal, right? Is know your numbers inside now, because here's the best part. You don't have to wait a year to reset your goals.
Yeah.
So
you can do it next month.
In 3 months, if you're not tracking your intake and your dollar productive activities at the top of the funnel, start doing that, because that will make a significant difference. That's what we've noticed at Crown in how our business has improved. We have focused, with the help of Adam and our coaching, with the help of some technology, right through the LOA ICRM, we're tracking top of funnel connections, top of funnel phone calls, top of funnel realtor appointments, right? Like, because we know, how do we get more business? Talk to more people.
Yep.
Right. And everyone knows that, right? Like, well, and I hear it all the time when we do business planning. I'm gonna go from closing 20 million to 30 million. Great. How are you gonna do that? I'm gonna close more loans.
That's the plan.
Great. You're gonna close more loans. How are you gonna do that? I'm gonna close 3 more loans a month. Great. How are you gonna do that? Right. And you gotta and it's not about reporting to your boss the goal. It's not about it's not about making yourself look good or puffing out your chest. It's about figuring it out and then being able to take that goal to an executionable plan and then executing on that plan, right? And I think that's where, as you guys are starting the new year, looking at things, if you say, hey, and goals can be personal, right? I want to save, I want to lose 10 pounds. Great. What are you going to do differently? Because it's not going to happen if you just, and if it's like, hey, I'm going to, eat less fast food. Be a little more specific, right? Like, I'm going to quit doing this. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to walk, really put together a plan that is step by step, right? Because it's easier to do step by step, because then it becomes mindless. Like, if it's like every day, like, I'm going to lose this weight today. I wonder how I'm going to do that, right? Like, as you're eating a bunch of chips trying to figure out how you're going to do it. But if you say, look, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. I'm going to walk, like, this day I'm going to do cardio. This day I'm going to do upper body. This day I'm going to do core, right? Like, if you can put together a goal really detailed, your mind will just follow the goal if it's written down. Right? And if it's just like, this is what I'm doing, right? It's like,
you have to see yourself as that person who's getting those goals done, right. Yeah. You know how you save money and eat healthy when you go grocery shopping? Have a list. Because if you don't have a list, you end up, hey, those Twinkies look pretty good. Oh, they're 2 for $1.
I'm going to get 2 sets of Twinkies for the price of one. Oh, that's great. You know,
20,000 calories later, right? Yeah.
Right. But if you have literally the list of what you're getting that you like set up, right? I'm going to get this broccoli, and it's more like a scavenger hunt. You don't even see that other stuff.
Uh-huh.
You know, because you're going down the aisles based on what was on your list.
Yep.
So I guess in setting your goals, really put together a plan of how you're going to achieve those goals. I think that's.
And if you're struggling with the specifics on how to do that, I'm sure there's a link right around here. Just click on that, or you can email me or Rick, and we'll certainly hold your hand and help you coach through that, whether you're on our team or not. We just want everybody to succeed. Yeah,
look, we've had a lot of people reach out this year as we started our podcast. I think this is episode 30 something. So
yeah.
We launched at the beginning of this year, I guess, right? So we've had a whole year of podcasting.
We did it every week, but we did more weeks than we didn't.
That's correct. So we're excited. We're also excited to have a lot of new guests coming in 2026. We've already got a line of people that are looking to be a guest. So I will tell you this: if our goal is to expand our reach of the Growth Mindset podcast and to get more interesting people on it. I'm sure you like listening to me and Adam every week. We're very fun and entertaining. Just ask us. But look, we love to hear from other people. We have some really exciting guests that are not even in the mortgage industry coming up. Some athletes, retired athletes, are going to be joining us in 2026. I think we have an
author coming on in a couple of weeks, right?
What's that?
We have an author coming on in a couple of weeks.
So I think
anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of interesting people coming on. So I'm really excited for 2026. First of all, I want to thank all the listeners that are listening to the Growth Mindset podcast. Drop us a line. I mean, we're really here to talk about and uncover things and talk about things that are relevant to growing our business. And Adam and I are not, we don't know all the answers. We love learning as well. So
absolutely.
What else? So what do you have any personal goals? Can we jam on some personal goals of Adam?
Yeah. So I have a goal. I've been on a weight loss journey, as have you, but I've been on a weight loss journey, and honestly, I really stalled on my weight loss this year. So as we sit here today, the end of December 25, I'm sitting at about 275 pounds. 2 years ago, I was about 340. And, so I'm down 60 pounds or so, and I've actually was down about another 10 or 15. I've actually gained a little bit of weight the second half of this year. But I have a goal. I want to get down to 245.
Nice.
I'm going to lose about another 30 pounds in the coming year. And I've been trying to think of myself as a person, because I eat pretty well, but I've just never been a huge exerciser, and I just need to go out and move more and do more. And I know I need to, but I just have to make that a priority in my life.
Awesome. You will. And I'm going to give you some tips offline on it.
Awesome.
So,
but I think the last thing I would say about goals, often, especially in coaching people and just knowing people, in the industry and, people that I've known for a long time, a lot of times when people say they want to get better at something, it's a very vague goal. So let's talk about my weight loss here, right? Like right now I'm at 275. I want to get to 245. Those are specific. It's called a SMART goal: specific, measurable, obtainable, realistic, and timely. Right. So because a lot of times people say, "I just want to lose weight," kind of saying the same thing.
Repeat that again. So I might have to take notes.
It's a SMART goal, right? So you could say, "Hey, I just want to lose weight," but a better goal is, "Hey, by December 31st, 2026. I want to weigh 245 pounds." That is a much better goal because it is specific. It is measurable. I can't measure I want to lose weight, right? It is obtainable. It's realistic, right? Like it's and it's timely. It has there is a date on it.
Wait, what was the R again?
Realistic.
Realistic.
Yep.
Obtainable and realistic.
Yep.
Okay.
I think you could also say relevant,
relevant.
Like it has to be, in the same field,
impactful.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It'll make a difference.
Like if I lose this weight, I'll be there at my kids' weddings, right? Like it's relevant and it's specific to me as to why it's important. But I think that more importantly than anything, it has to be specific and measurable. Any goal. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, I want to make more money in the mortgage business.
I think you cut out a little on your.
Sorry, I'm having some internet connectivity issues today, but I'm not sure where I cut out there. But
awesome. Well, look, I hope this was a good, helpful podcast. Look, now's the time, right? It's always the time, but I know everyone thinks of goals as they're coming into the new year, and use the SMART technique, right? Make it repeat that again.
Specific, measurable, accurate, relevant, and timely.
Perfect. And keep track, right? You go to the top of funnel, and once you have that goal set, really put together an action plan, right? And really put down, like, take time. So next, in Adam's weight loss of losing 45 pounds, now he's going to put probably together a diet regimen and an exercise regimen, right? And if it doesn't have to be, it can be obtainable. It's not like, hey, Adam, we're going to have you run a marathon in 30 days.
A few less bowls of ice cream, a little more walk, I mean.
That's right. But being specific in that, right?
Specific, exactly.
I purposely went on my weight loss journey. I got rid of soda, right? I got rid of fast foods. I got rid of fried foods. I tried to, I gave up alcohol for 45 days in the beginning of the year to kickstart it, right? So it's all those little things, right? And then it was like, I'm going to go to the gym. Actually, I first started just by walking. And then it was like walking with a couple weights. And it was like going to the gym. And then it's like going to the gym 3 days a week, right? And then it was just feeling the process of going to the gym. And then it was like, all right, I'm going to do these specific exercises, right? And I built out an exercise plan, right? So it's the same thing, right? You can, it's the same thing in sales and mortgages, right? You're like, it's easy to say, I'm going to do more business, going to talk to more people. But I guarantee if that's how you do it, you're going to end up the end of this year and your goals will be affected purely by market conditions.
Absolutely.
Good or bad, right?
Good or bad.
And look,
yeah.
And there are people that are achieving their goals despite market conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that. And I believe everyone can, because there's enough business out there. Nobody has, I know, Adam, I think you have like 30% of your market. That's like, you're in a very small market.
That's a county, but I could go do business in other counties.
Right. But most loan officers listening, they have less than 2%.
Exactly.
So you could double your business and you probably still have less than 4% of your total market.
I do a lot of business in a small town, but again, if I want to grow, I just got to do business in other towns.
Yeah.
That's all.
So as you know, one of my favorite chapters in my book, it's a quote, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse, right? And I think we've talked about that on our podcast before, one of our first episodes. But set that goal, make it measurable, right? And if you really, don't set the goal to please somebody else. Set the goal to please you.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
What's that?
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, I just made that up.
Well, home run.
So awesome. Well, thank you. Cool. And Happy New Year's, everybody. We're looking forward to you guys continued. We thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you listening. If not, it'd just be me and Adam talking all day back and forth to each other. So, which we like doing anyway. But we appreciate everything you guys do to our listeners that's listening in. And again, any feedback, anything you want to see, anything you want to talk about, if you'd like to be a guest, there's a link on our webpage to apply to be a guest, and one of our producers will reach out to you. Believe it or not, we do have a producer, so very exciting stuff. So till next time.
Absolutely. Have fun, chase your goals, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to The Growth Mindset, hosted by Adam Crosley and Rick Riddle. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your colleagues. Stay tuned for more actionable insights to fuel your career success. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.